there, welcome to my channel. My name is Linda. I have some fun crafts for you today. I also have a few sweet friends will be joining me. I'll explain those details a little bit later. So what are we waiting for? Let's get started. Today we'll be working on some rustic wood crafts for your Christmas home decor. So let's get started with project number 1. For this project, I'm going to start out, you'll have a free pattern. The link to my blog will be in the description box, which will take you to this pattern. But I'm just kind of drawing it out and working it out with you. The wood I'll be using is about 5.5 inches wide, just so you know, and I'm going to make it about 18 inches long. So it's a pretty tall project here. Now I'm cutting out, this is a wing shape, okay? It's half of a wing shape. So like I said, I'm just kind of working it through with you. I did cut a lot of it out, so you didn't have to watch me like draw the whole thing. But when you get your pattern, you're going to just get this half of a wing shape. And I like to draw my patterns on poster boards so they're a little bit stiffer to use when I'm drawing them onto wood or something like that. So you're going to draw half the wing and of course stop at that edge point there and then flip your wing over to draw the other half, okay? And then that's going to be your pattern in its entirety. All right, nice and easy. Now I am using a jigsaw to cut this out. You could cut it out in fabric if you wanted, which would be really cool, you know, and just do 2 pieces of fabric for each one, some batting in the middle or something like that. This would look really awesome in fabric. Here I am just finishing up the pattern for the body, so this is what you've got. All right, and then I'm also going to give you a pattern for this kind of long heart. I'm going to put it off on the side, but for the star, these came with craftingwithkimber.com. You can use any wood stars, but of course, I like the wonkiness of it. So I'm going to just trace my heart onto some wood here. This is just some thin wood I have. And then here I am just using my jigsaw, cutting a little bit up for you, showing you, you know, how it's done. I'm using cedar wood here. We just had a little bit of fencing done, and my husband had some cedar wood left over, and I love the, I don't even know what you call that, the variations in the wood tones and stuff there. I think it just makes this angel look really rustic and awesome. And I had one of those like 8-foot long, I think, cedar board, so I was actually able to make 2 angels, you know, out of that board. But yes, I just love that variation in the light and the dark of the wood tone. I don't do anything to this wood. I mean, I just sand it a little bit. But that's it, because I want to leave this, shall I say the word variation? Again, I want to leave this intact so it's seen because I just think it adds to it. I'm only going to cut out part of the wing here because I really had to get in. There was no way I tried to set the camera up to get angles because I really had to kind of just step in front of it to get my angle right to get at it to be able to cut it. So I'm just going to show a little bit here where I was able to, you know, move the camera for you. Now what I'm doing is coming in and just sanding it. I sand off the top a little bit, but mainly on like these long, sharp edges and, you know, all the others. I like to smooth those off, make them a little bit more rounded to kind of soften that wood up a little bit. Yeah, this is nice and easy, quick. You're going to be amazed. You could attach the wings and the angel and pretty much be done if you wanted. You don't have to add anything else. Of course, you know, I'm going to, but I do it very minimal because I want the angel to just really stand out. Okay, so here comes Bella. She's like, I'm getting ready to work on the angel. Not here she comes, here she is. And she wanted to have a little bit of mommy time. No, dear, go. Dear, go. Dear's my girl. Dear's my Bella. Yeah, dear's a Bella. Oh, dear's a Bella. There's a Bella. Yeah, there she is. There, just a little bit of Bella and me time. I thought you'd like to hear what goes on behind the scenes. So here's my angel cut out and ready to go. Of course, I've got the wings ready to go. And then I made like just a little kind of triangular easel for the back. This is what it looks like, flat on one side, kind of like half of a triangle, right? Okay, so to attach the wings, obviously the flat part of the wings at the top is going to come in right at that neck opening right there. That's it, and just center it. And in the little easel part, I sanded it up at the top, just kind of fits right down below the wings and then at the very edge of the bottom of the angel. I'm going to use Gorilla Glue off camera, and I'm just going to glue the wings down, and then later I'll glue the easel on, but didn't want to mess with that right now because I wanted to be able to have a flat surface to work with. The easel would have made it kind of hard to work with. So I'm going to use Waverly Antique Wax mixed with water, and I'm going to stain both of my wood pieces here, Dixie Belle chalk paint in the color Rustic Red and Debbie's Design Diary DIY White Swan chalk paint. Also, before we get into painting, I'm going to attach the star kind of on some curly wire above the heart. So I'm using some 20 gauge. It just says dark annealed. I think it's because of the color of it. I don't know, 20 gauge wire for that. All right, so I'm coming in and staining my wood first. Those who've been with me a while, when I have light color wood and I paint it and I want to distress it, a lot of times if you're using light color paint, the red would be able to work okay, but light colored paint like the white on the star, then you distress it. It's not enough of a contrast between a light color paint and light wood. So I will often just stain the wood prior when I remember, and then of course paint over the top so that when I do distress, that darkness will shine through. Also, as luck has it, the Waverly Antique Wax mixed with water, that stain kind of matches the color on the cedar. So once I am done painting here, as you see, I will paint the heart front and back because you'll see a little bit sticking off the angel on the back side. So I want it to look nice. When I am done painting and I distress it and you see that little bit of dark staining coming through, it'll make a nice match with the angel down below. Again, this will be really awesome done in fabric. You might not want to make it as long. You could shorten the body a little bit. Of course, you're not going to have an easel on the back, but it would make a nice fabric thing, and I might have to try that out because, I don't know, that could be a great idea. All right, painting up the star. I'll distress everything here coming up. There it is, ready for me. Boy, that video moved fast. Distressing just around the edges a little bit, but you'll start to see that little bit of kind of dark staining peeking up. It's not this big ta-da, of the dark stain in the wood, but you do see it. See, it helps it quite a bit. It almost gives you like a 3 coloring, right? The white, the dark stain, the light wood underneath. And in the heart, I am really, really, really over distressing it. Not as much as on the star, but you can see it because I don't want just this big glob of red to shine out above the angel. I want it to blend in nicely. Now I'm taking some chalk paint mixed with water, a fan brush. I always dip into chalk paint, wipe off the excess, and then tap the fan brush to add some splatters, adding a tiny bit on the wings. Thought that'd come in really nicely. And then I'm doing the same with black chalk paint on the star. Now I'm taking my crocodile, I'm punching a hole in the center of the star, and then I'll punch a hole just kind of in the upper, right here, part of the heart. Then I'm going to put the wire through, and I'm going to take some round nose needle nose pliers, and I'm going to twist that wire into a spiral shape, and then kind of hook it, that whole thing, to one side so it'll lay flat against the heart. And now you see up above, I've got my long wire shape above the heart. I'm actually twirling a little bit in the center of that wire with still a long tail out ahead, right? And then I'm going to smush it together and kind of bend it a little bit to the side and then get my star on. You can see how it's kind of bent. And then that way, that middle section of the smush will lay back against the inside of the star to help hold the star up, right? And now that tail, that's the remainder of the wire, I'm going to twirl that into a twirly shape and smush that against the star. Now your star will jiggle and move around. It won't fall down, but you can see how it's nice and tight there. It won't fall down, but your star will move. If you don't want it to move, you could take some super glue under the wire underneath the bottom of the star just to keep it in place. Otherwise, the star is going to turn, like I said. So now what I'm doing, I've got some double stick tape here, and I'm just covering the wire on the back of the heart. And I'm doing this for 2 reasons, because the double stick tape is going to give me, some double stick, but also because I want to just cover up that wire and keep that wire in position, and that double stick tape is going to work nicely. And now I'm cutting some cardboard, long pieces to go on one side of the heart, 2 pieces, gluing it together, and then I'll glue that on to the long side of the heart. And then I've got 2 slender pieces of cardboard. I'm coming around each side of that wire curlicue there, and then one bigger piece that's going to lay over the top of that whole ensemble there. That's the sticky tape. It'll help stick to the center of the cardboard, just like that. Now I'm just laying down some moss, about 3/4 down on the angel. And the reason for the cardboard, we're now going to glue it on, is so that we made space for that moss. It's just enough space, that moss, to kind of sit up underneath, off of the angel a little bit. And then I made a bow out of some really pretty plaid ribbon here that matches the heart. And then I'm just going to do a little bit of wrinkle and crinkle here down at the tails. I like my tails really long and wrinkle and crinkle, but you know, you do you, however long or short you want your tails. Cut those suckers to your heart's content. And then I'm going to do a little bit more just kind of along the side of the angel here. A little more wrinkle and crinkle and gluing. And then that makes this project complete. As soon as off camera I would glue the easel to the back. We'll take a look at the final results at the end of the video. So as I mentioned earlier, today's video is in collaboration with some sweet friends of mine. This is a two-part collaboration. So today is part 1 called 'Tis the Season. Stay tuned for part 2, To Be Jolly, coming out on November 9th. We will have all our videos on one playlist. So when it's all said and done, you're actually going to have 8 videos full of tons of Christmas inspiration. It is indeed 'tis the season to be jolly. Joining me for this collaboration, as well as the next one, it's the same team for both. I know you're excited about that. It's Wendy, who is White Sparrow Living Luke 12:6 here on YouTube, Emily, who is FarmCharmChic here on YouTube, and Patty, who is PattiJGood here on YouTube. Imagine that. We're all here on YouTube, just for you, bringing you all this Christmas inspiration. I know you're going to love it. Now, the link to this playlist will be in my description box, of course, as well as pinned in my comments. So it will take you to, what do I always say? One convenient location to find all this Christmas inspiration. How many times can I say Christmas inspiration? Apparently a lot. So make sure you go to that playlist, you click on the videos, you watch them all, tell these other lovely, beautiful women I said hello. And with that said, let's move right on in with another rustic wood craft with project number 2. For this project, I'm using this big long board. I don't know what kind of wood it is, but it's heavy. And it's about 2 inches in width. And I'm actually going to cut my piece for this wood at 29 inches. Yes, it's very tall, but it's going to be very cool and very easy to do. So from that 29-inch mark, measure 15 inches up. And from this point, you're going to make your triangular top at one end. You're just going to go from that 15-inch mark up to the center of the top of your board on both sides. Now, those little pieces that are left at that triangular top edge, save those, because these are easels for the back. You could use these for the back of your angel, or of course our church here is what we're doing. Now I'm taking some paint sticks and I'm marking them down to 12 inches, and I'm going to cut these paint sticks down to 12 inches. Imagine that. And then I've got this piece of wood here. I'm just going to cut it in half. It was an already pre-cut wood, and it just measures about 2.5 by 5 inches. So I've got my wood cut out, or my husband cut it out for me. Everything is all sanded. We got our little church with its steeple, and then my paint sticks, I sanded those, and then just with the sander, rounded off one edge on both sides. These are going to be our big, long doors, right? And then here's the little sign. I sanded it. It's ready to go. We're going to add some little curly wire on here to make it cute. And then, of course, here is our easel from those leftover pieces to go on the back, just like that. Now, let's get into a little bit of painting. So I started by using just some black chalk paint to paint the doors, and here's the, one time out of many I forget to stain it first. But I saw this thing that someone was doing where they painted it black, and then they added the stain in a little bit later. So when as I was painting, I remembered, shoot, I forgot to stain it. So I started just painting just real haphazardly, making sure I don't cover everything. And I'll do it on both paint sticks, because then since this is chalk paint, you can go in and do wet paper towel and rub it off and do a wet distress on it. So actually, I think this technique is pretty cool. Learned it on Instagram. Amazing how all these DIY videos we learn from. Anyway, so here it's kind of half painted. Now I'm coming in with the Waverly Antique Wax mixed with water, and I'm just painting right over the black in those areas. And you could just leave it like this when it dries, but I wanted to expose a little bit more of the wood where I painted it a little bit too heavy. So I'm coming in here with wet paper towel, and I'll start to wipe everything off and allow some of that brown to show. I actually kind of like it better because then you don't really have to like sand it. You just kind of wipe it off a little bit. So here's what it looks like. I just think it gives it a real soft rustic look without the sanding technique. All right, and then I'm coming in and I'm just doing a little bit of whitewash on the board, on this little pre-cut board. Again, it's about 2.5 inches tall, about 5 inches wide. I was going to just leave it, but I thought I want to bring up the white from the church that I'll be painting. Now, I do a little bit of distressing on the doors just along those sharp edges to give a little bit of that wood look to come around, but not through the center, okay? All right, and I will have a free printable for you on my blog. This is just a little, oh, come let us adore him. I made in, my Cricut program. I'll have the fonts down below as well, but I thought that would be a cute little sign to hang on our church. Nice and easy. All right, and then I'm coming in with some black paint, fan brush, a little bit of splatters. You knew it was going to happen. Just a little bit. All right, so now I'm coming in. I'm going to start cutting some greenery. I'm going to make my own little bitty wreath. We've all done this, and this is the greenery, so I'm just kind of trimming it a little bit, and then we're going to move to something else, and then we're going to come back to the greenery. So I think I used about 6 of these little branches. So I'm using my large bite crocodile is what it's called. It has like a bigger opening and a longer reach, so you can get in there with thicker woods, punch a couple of holes, putting some wire through, and then I'm just going to twist with my round nose needle nose pliers and smush it to the center to give us some curly cues. To the back, leaving a long tail back there. Cut off the excess, of course. Little bit of swirly with the pliers and smush it to the wood. Boom, got some curly cues. Now I'm using that same double stick tape to hold our wires down and still have the double sticky for us to use, and a little piece of black cardboard here right on the back. And I added a couple little long pieces in the middle because that wire's kind of tall, because I want the sign to lift up off of the church a little bit. I think it gives it a little bit of dimension versus just laying flat on the church. Now I'm using some pipe stems here, pipe stem cleaners. You know what they are. I'm just making a little circle shape to glue my greenery to because I can't just do it freehand. But I'll make sure that I use enough greenery so that you don't at all see the pipe cleaner along the edges, inside and outside, everything. I don't just do it on top because, like I said, I don't want that white to show. And so I just use whole pieces, bits and pieces, and yes, I'm using a glue gun because it is a little bit faster than holding my Beacon Fabri-Tac glue, although that would have worked absolutely wonderful. Can't stand the glue strings, but I'm using my glue gun. Once in a blue moon, that thing comes out. So I'll just continue this process till it's all done, and here's my wreath all really pretty and full. And then I'm using that same ribbon I did on the angel, made a little bow, and I'm going to glue that at the bottom of the wreath. And I'm going to add in a couple of little beaded berries here. These come on like a big pick you can get from Hobby Lobby. Love my beaded berries. And now I am just starting to paint the church. I'm going in with Debbie's Design Diary DIY White Swan chalk paint, leaving that little part there because that's where I'm going to wood glue the easel to the back. Raw wood works a little better, right? Raw wood to raw wood. I can talk today. Raw wood to raw wood when we are wood gluing. And then I'm painting my easel. I'll paint the front off camera. You will see later that there is a little bit more paint on there. I decided to come in with just a little bit different color paint to give it a little texture just in a few areas. So that is on there now. So I'm coming in and distressing and sanding this all up. I want my church to look a little bit old. So you'll see those little different color of paint there. It's kind of a grayish color. And as I'm sanding, that little bit of gray will kind of pop out as well. Look how white powder my coat is from that Design Diary paint, chalk paint. That stuff just powder flies everywhere. All right, now, see, you can look down below. You can kind of see it looks kind of greenish on camera, but see that little bit of paint down below I added in there. I almost didn't like it. I was almost going to go back over and just cover it in white, but I'm like, it'll look cool when it's done. And it does look cool. I'm gluing on my sticks for the doors just with a tiny bit of space in between.
probably 1/8 of an inch. And then I'm coming down to glue my little sign just right up at that juncture before it goes into a point of our steeple. A little bit crookedy, super cute. And I'm going to add some black splatters just in a few places on the church, because that's going to help bring that splatter in a little bit, right? It's going to help ground everything since we splattered the sign. Give us a little bit more rustic texture. And then we're going to glue our cute little wreath at the top of our doors. I love how this turned out. So simple and easy. That makes this project complete. After I would glue the easel on the back, we'll take a look at the final results at the end of the video. Let's move on to our last project, number 3. For this project, I found this like floating wall shelf at a thrift store. It was $3. It's 12 inches in length. I got it because I'm like, I'm going to make a sign out of it one day. Today's come. I'm using this chunky slat board from Dollar Tree. I was going to use the 8-inch, but later I switched to the 12-inch side from Dollar Tree. And in these little house-shaped wood plaques from Dollar Tree, I'm going to cut part of this one off and make it a triangle shape. I'm going to make this one the whole length of that wood. And in this little piece of wood, it's a wood book from Dollar Tree, making a smaller little triangle shape. Yep, there's 3 trees. I've got them all cut and sanded, ready to go. I'm going to start out, of course, by using my Waverly Antique Wax mixed with water to stain it. I'm going to use this piece of wood here too for the front. I decided last minute to make like a little sign on the front of our sign, and I want to wrap it around with wood, so I cut a couple of extra pieces of this leftover wood underneath to accommodate space for the twine. Now I start by painting this Waverly Antique Wax on this sign, but I'm like, oh, it's beating up. I bet it needs sanded first. So I wipe it off, and sure enough, I will have to sand this. So I'll do that outside later. I'll sand it so it takes the Waverly Antique Wax better. I'll do that off camera. In the meantime, I'll show you that I am doing the Waverly Antique Wax to our cute little trees. I've already got the little 8-inch slat board done, but of course, like I said, I switched to 12-inch a little bit later. And I'm just doing these really simple. They're all going to be white trees. So once the Waverly Wax dries, we're going to go in with our white paint, of course. And then off camera, I will use my electric sander to distress everything up. Before we move into the white painting, I'm going to need to drill some holes. I found this little ensemble at Habitat for Humanity. I'm going to use the bottom portion for a tree base. I found a little knob that I kind of shaved the bottom off because it was rounded, again, for a tree base. And then I have this other piece. I end up changing it. I don't like it. It's like a little door stopper knob thing, but I needed to drill a hole for it as well when I started. So, but I end up, like I said, not liking it. I change it to another little knob near the end. So here I am in 2 of the trees, of course, just getting some drilling done. Of course, I chose drill bits that are the size of the pieces I'm going to put in there. Perfect. That's how that's going to look. And then this one. And when I switch to the other little knob, I end up having to put like a little bit of wood in there. I put like a little dowel back into the hole to fill it up to give me a little more surface to wood glue. It looked neat here, but then I decided later, I'm like, no, it's too big looking compared to the other 2 little tree bottoms I'll be using. So now we're coming into our white paint, of course. I'm going to paint all sides, top and bottom, because it could be seen from the back, of course. And like I said, off camera, I will distress everything. But before I distress, I wanted to show you the box. Once I sanded it, then it took the Waverly Antique Wax mixed with water and stained nicely. And here's my longer board, okay, that I switched to from Dollar Tree. Now here everything is sanded, and Bella's, of course, playing with her little bit of sticky from our little cute design here. I will have this on my blog as well. Remember, link will be in the description box for you for all patterns and printables today. And I'm putting this on the front of our little sign. She's waiting to get the sticky. I had to cut her sticky ahead of time, and now she's waiting for more sticky. So, yeah, I don't know. She loves the sticky. Pull that off. I think this is really cute. I like how it turned out. But, you know, it's a little bit too plain, but we'll take care of that with some black paint mixed with water and do a little bit of splattering. Now, when I splatter, you guys might think that I just splatter haphazardly. I don't. I actually pay attention and splatter in just certain areas, just because I don't want it in all over splatter. It's just certain areas. So like the tree on the right where I splattered just lower half, the tree in the middle is all the way up, and the tree on the left is just a little bit up at the top. It's all placement when I splatter. That's how my brain operates. All right, now I'm using some beacon glue here to get my pieces on to get my stems, trunks, whatever you want to call it, onto my tree base, onto my trees, get my bases onto my trees. That's what I want to say. And now I'm coming in once the splatters are all dry, and I'm using some large diameter twine that I get from Walmart and just wrapping around 3 times on each end. I'll tie a little knot in the back there, and then I'll glue that down once I've got it into position so it doesn't just, come off the end. I'll make sure I glue all that twine down, that little knot and everything. Do the same thing on the other side, of course. I love how this turned out. This is actually a little story for you. My 4th project. My 3rd project you never saw. I got done with it, and all night long I thought about that thing. Literally, I was up till about 2 a.m. I hated it. So I went looking for another idea, and this is what I came up with. The other ended up in the trash. Honestly, I like this one much better. So I'm last minute, 3 hours before I'm ready to edit, doing this quick project, but I love how this turned out. So here's our big floating shelf, all distressed. The little base is distressed. I've already wood glued that to the bottom, and I'm actually going to use the back side because I kind of like that framing around it. Of course, like I said, we're going to put this on the front, but because of that twine, it leaves that space in the center. So now I'm just gluing those extra pieces of wood together, and then we'll glue that to our wall shelf, so to speak, and then add a little bit of glue to the top of those wood pieces and to our twine, and then get our sign right down on the front. Now I'm going to use some rusty nails. I actually picked up a big tote of they were rusty nails from Habitat for $5. That was a score. I mean, there's probably got to be 500 nails in there. Anyway, but I wanted to pre-drill some holes first and then add a rusty nail to each corner. I have a wood stick there because there's that space there because I didn't glue all the way to the edges, and I needed support underneath that so that the sign wouldn't move as I'm nailing in the nails. But I think it just adds just that tiny bit of extra touch there. I like how it turned out. You could leave this part out if you don't want any nails. And now I'm just wood gluing our cute little trees to the top, putting them on there just a little bit slanted, front ways, sideways, back ways, whatever ways I want them to be. I like how this turned out. Very simplistic, like the other two. All my projects are just nice and simplistic today, but rustic, and I think they just pack a beautiful punch to rustic decor. Here is my new knob for the bottom of my other tree. Remember, I changed that one out. I think it just fits in better with the other 2 knobs. I'm going to get this glued on, and guess what? That makes this project complete. So I hope you really enjoyed all of these rustic wood craft projects for your Christmas home decor. You know the drill. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know which one was your favorite and which one you would like to make right now. Either and or all of the above. I don't know. Tell me what you think. Please give this video a thumbs up. And if you walked in here for the first time, you're just checking things out, you're digging what you saw, or maybe you came over from one of my other sweet friends' channels for this 'Tis the Season Part 1 Christmas collaboration, welcome to my channel. If you liked everything you saw here today, before you click off, make sure you hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on another video from me. And again, mentioning the collab, thank you, my sweet friends Wendy, Emily, and Patty for joining in with me today. I can't wait until the next one. Now, before I go, I'm going to leave you with one final thought. Navigating a boat in shallow water takes constant vigilance, careful planning, adaptation to changing conditions, and your mind has to be sharply focused on potential obstacles. Caution buoys are there to help you by marking certain channels for safe navigation, and some buoys even come equipped with lights to help you make your way in the dark of night. If you aren't careful, when water levels are low, you may find your boat stuck on the sandbar, which will bring your journey to an abrupt halt. Similarly, in life, when moving through shallow waters, you mustn't move too quickly or make a rash decision on your own, otherwise you may not reach your destination safely. If you move too fast without trusting God to lead you and guide you safely on the right side of the buoys, it can be dangerous, so moving cautiously with God is key. Tides and currents can affect water navigation, just like when life throws you unexpected challenges that require God to make some adjustments. If you trust God, He will work all things out for the goodness of your life. But to make this happen, your heart must truly believe that He will do what is absolutely best for you. If you find yourself stuck on the sandbar because you tried to navigate the boat on your own without paying attention to your surroundings, lean on God's understanding of the situation, because He sees exactly what kind of help you need. He won't let you down, He won't leave you alone, and He will not let you be defeated. He will stand on the sandbar, and with His mighty strength, He will push your boat back into that water. The attitude of your heart in a crisis should reflect that God does care. He understands your heart. His strength is all you need, and He will bring you through it. He is the only captain you need to navigate you through the waters of life. So take a moment and allow Him to steer the boat. He understands the tides and currents, and He knows all the potential risks. He will stay alert and adjust your journey in accordance with His precise compass, which calculates all the latitude and longitude numbers needed to maintain course. With your complete love and trust in God, He will plan the most reliable and seaworthy route, guiding you securely through any depth of water. He will keep looking forward to make sure that you enter safely into the harbor. With confidence, He will get you docked into your designated slip. He will tie your boat up correctly to keep it secure, and then your feet can step onto dry land, knowing that He kept you protected the entire time and brought you safely home. I thank you for sharing your time with me, and I'll talk with you again soon. Bye.